Sportsnet named Milos Raonic Canadian Athlete of the Year. We look at Canada's top tennis player in this week's Last Word with Stephen Brunt. Stephen joins us now from our Sportsnet studios in Toronto. Thanks for doing it, Stephen.
Hi, Wilder.
Did the selection committee get this pick right, Canadian Athlete of the Year?
Well, I think when you get down to the finalists in the last group of athletes, I don't know that there was a wrong pick. And it's a tricky debate. I've been involved in this with the Sportsnet Athlete of the Year and with the Lou Marsh Award, one of the other awards. You're kind of trying to assess one sport versus another, team sports versus individual sports. You're always talking about depth of field in a sport, how many people participate, how deep is the talent pool, how deep is the competition. But I really thought this year that with Milos Raonic having such a breakthrough year in 2013, and going places that no other Canadian male tennis player's ever gone before, I thought he was a very, very good choice.
You know, speaking of the talent pool, lots of talented Canadians, like you said, to pick from, Anthony Bennett being one of them, and Graham Dillette. What sets Milos apart from those other contenders?
Well, those are two interesting ones, right? Because Bennett became the first draft pick in the NBA, so he's a great college player. But how do you rate a college player against NBA players? We have Canadians in the NBA. Would they automatically rate above even a very, very good college player, or above Andrew Wiggins, a great high school player who was also at least in the conversation? And in Dillette's case, you had a guy who had great breakthroughs in golf, played on the President's Cup, was selected for the President's Cup, but he didn't win a tournament this year. So he hasn't made that leap yet. I think the fact that Raonic won multiple tournaments this year, that he cracked the top 10, and the other factor is, of course, that he led the Canadian Davis Cup team to the semifinals, which is a historic achievement. And I think for a lot of people in this country, it's one thing to do what you do as an individual or for a professional team, but when you wear the maple leaf and achieve something, I think that means a lot.
You said that he has had wins, but he has never made it to even the quarterfinal of a major. What does that say about the selection?
Well, I think that's the next step, and I think that's what we're all waiting for, is for Milos to break through in a major. He has won on the ATP level. He has won. He is in the top 10. You've got the top 4 guys in tennis right now who are arguably the best top 4 in the history of the game. Milos is in that level right below the big 4. He's in that level 5 through 10. There's not much to choose among those guys, but for him to crack through into the level of the Djokovic's and the Nadals and the Federers and the Murrays, obviously that's another leap. But honestly, in the history of the sport in this country, we haven't had anybody who is in the place that Milos is in right now, never mind getting to that next level.
All right, Stephen, thank you so much for your insight, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Wilder.